Hello, this is Film Adventure, and today we are going to talk about how to shoot a slow motion video on a DSLR. And specifically, I shot this on a Canon T5i, but most DSLRs have similar settings, especially Canon. I believe Nikon does as well. So you can kind of take this video and apply it to any DSLR that you may have. So the first step would be to go into your camera menu and set the frame rate to 60 frames per second. It'll probably lower the image quality from 1080p to 720p. At least that's what my T5i does. It's still HD. It'll still look decent on YouTube or Vimeo or anywhere else that you want to put it, and it's in slow motion. Another thing to keep in mind is that the image will get darker, so just keep that in mind. Maybe turn up the ISO on your camera, or even better would be to provide more light to your shot. And natural light is always the best way to go, but if you have a couple lights around your house, or if you have lights that you use in your films, definitely use that for shooting slow motion. So the next step would just be to shoot your footage. What I did was I took a shot of a empty glass, and then I poured water into it, and then I got another shot of a table and I dropped coins onto the table, and then the last shot I got was of a candle sitting on that table, and I light it and then I blow it out. So that's all the footage I needed to just play around with it. And so the next step would be to import it into your editor. I use Final Cut Pro 10. Pretty much any editor has an option to slow down or speed up your footage. So just look around and you should be able to find it. What I did was I took the footage and I slowed it down to 40% of its normal speed. This took it down from 60 frames per second to 24 frames per second, which is the normal frames per second for a cinematic film. So it gives you the cinematic look in frames per second, and then it's also in slow motion. So seeing the water fall into the glass at 40% speed and seeing the flame being snuffed out at 40% speed, you can see how slow it is. But 60 frames per second slowed down is actually not what everybody may be used to. As I found out, I showed that footage to my fiance and my brother, and neither of them even knew that it was slowed down. I think that water falling and a fire going out simply happen at too fast of a rate for a camera to take it in 60 frames. I think most films that do slow motion are at least at 120 frames per second. It's my understanding that a lot of GoPros and action cameras can shoot at 120, but DSLRs, for the most part, have a 60 frames per second limit. And I unfortunately do not have an action camera or a GoPro, only the DSLR. So a DSLR can shoot 60 frames per second. It is slow motion. Depending on what you shoot with it, it will be more or less noticeable. You can notice with my test shots that they are in slow motion if you compare them back and forth, but if you don't know, the naked eye may not notice that the water is being poured more slowly or that the fire is going out more slowly than normal, simply because of how quickly both of those things happen in real time. But maybe if you're getting a shot of someone running or a car going down the road or something, I don't know, one of those things might look a little bit more slow to the naked eye at 60 frames per second. So just kind of play around with it, see what you can get, and that's how you shoot slow motion on a DSLR. So that's all I have for you today, and I'll see you next time. This has been Film Adventure. Thank you.